The desperate battlefield was silent. Only smoke and the smell of burning metal filled the air. Broken ships and shattered weapons lay scattered across the ground. Among the ruins, a lone human soldier walked carefully, his boots pressing into the ash-covered soil. He had survived the battle, but survival felt empty, for the field was filled with death and despair. He searched not for victory, but for any sign of life. The silence was heavy, too heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Then, from the shadows of a collapsed wall, he heard something, a faint scraping sound. His hand went to his weapon, but instead of an enemy, he saw a figure dragging itself forward. It was an alien woman, her body battered, her skin marked by burns and wounds. Her most shocking feature made him freeze. She had no arms, both torn away long ago, yet her eyes still burned with a fierce light. She crawled across the ground, trembling but determined. When she finally reached him, she lifted her head and spoke in a weak, broken voice. "Human. Please, save my child," she begged, her words shaking as though each one cost her strength. The soldier stared at her in shock, not knowing if this was a trap or a desperate truth. The alien woman lowered her head, her breath shallow, her whole body trembling. Then she said something even stranger, something that stunned him. "If you save my child, I will give myself to you. I will be your wife." The soldier's chest tightened, and confusion filled his mind. Why would an alien mother say such a thing? In such a moment, her voice carried no lies, only fear and desperation. The human could see it in her eyes, eyes that had seen suffering beyond words. Her people were gone, her world broken, and her only hope now rested in him. A lone human who happened to survive the same battlefield. The soldier knelt beside her, his voice rough but steady. "Where is your child?" he asked. The alien mother looked behind her, toward a pile of stone and metal, the ruins of a collapsed shelter. "There," she whispered. "He is trapped, weak. They will come for him. They know what he carries." The soldier felt the weight of her words. This was not just a simple plea to save a life. Something about the child was important, something the enemy wanted, but there was no time for questions. He nodded and moved toward the rubble. The alien mother crawled beside him, her body shaking with effort, but her spirit refusing to break. Together they reached the collapsed shelter. The soldier used his strength to move broken pieces of metal and stone. At last, a small figure was revealed, a child, alien like his mother, but frail and trembling. The child's wide eyes stared at the human with fear. Then with hope, the mother leaned close and whispered, her voice breaking, "Do not be afraid, he will save you." The soldier lifted the child into his arms. The little body light but fragile, the boy clung to him, weak but alive. For a brief moment, the soldier felt something stir in his heart, something he thought he had lost in the war, a sense of purpose, a reason to keep fighting. But his thoughts were cut short by the sound of footsteps, enemy soldiers moving through the ruins, searching for survivors. The alien mother's eyes widened with terror. "They are here. They will take him." "They cannot take him," she whispered harshly. The soldier tightened his grip on the child and scanned the shadows. If the enemy wanted the child, then this was no ordinary rescue. The battlefield, the plea, the desperate bargain of the alien mother, all of it now made sense. This was more than survival, more than compassion. This was the beginning of something far greater. The soldier crouched low, keeping the child close, his eyes fixed on the advancing shadows. The alien mother crawled beside him, whispering, "Please, I have nothing left. Only him and you. If you save him, I will give you all I am, even as your wife. But do not let them take him." The human soldier felt a storm rising inside him. He was a fighter, not a guardian, not a husband. But in that moment, as he looked into the eyes of the armless mother and the frightened child, he knew this was no longer about the war or his duty. This was about something deeper, humanity itself. And he could not walk away. The enemy soldiers drew closer, their voices cutting through the smoke-filled air. The human soldier prepared himself. holding the child tightly, his other hand on his weapon. The alien mother whispered one last time, her voice filled with hope and fear. "Save him, human. And save me." The soldier exhaled slowly, his heart steady, his choice made. The silence of the battlefield was about to break again. But this time, it was not just a battle, it was the beginning of a bond. A desperate plea that would change everything. Asterisk, the hidden child, the ruins of the battlefield were no longer silent. The echo of enemy footsteps moved through the smoke, growing closer. The human soldier held the alien child tightly against his chest, his weapon ready in his other hand. The armless mother crawled beside him, her breath short, her body weak but her eyes alive with fear and determination. The enemy was hunting, their voices sharp, calling out orders in a language filled with threat. Every sound made the soldier's pulse quicken, but his mind stayed clear. He had protected many men in battle, but this was different. This was not about comrades or orders. It was about a helpless mother and her child. The soldier crouched low behind broken stone. He whispered quickly to the alien mother, "Where can we go? Where is safe?" Her eyes moved to the ground, toward the rubble that looked like nothing but ruins. "There is a chamber below, a hidden place. I left him there before the battle, but the walls collapsed," she said, her voice trembling. The soldier understood at once. The child had been hidden for safety, but fate had destroyed the shelter. Now he was in the arms of a stranger, a human. The last chance left in a broken world. The footsteps drew closer. The soldier pressed the child gently into the arms of his motherless embrace. Though she had no hands to hold, she leaned close, her cheek against the boy's, her whole body shaking. For a moment, the soldier saw something rare, something raw. This alien woman, scarred and broken, still had the strength to comfort her son even without arms. Her voice was soft, almost like music through the smoke. "Do not cry, little one, we are together." But time was running out. The soldier moved fast, pushing aside the stones with his hands, each piece heavier than the last. The rubble scraped against his gloves. The dust stung his eyes, but he did not stop. At last he uncovered the broken entryway of a hidden passage. It led downward into darkness, a collapsed tunnel, but still deep enough to hide from searching eyes. The mother nodded weakly, her lips whispering thanks. The soldier carried the child and helped guide the mother into the darkness. The tunnel was cold, the air heavy with dust, but it was safety for now. They moved deeper, their steps echoing softly. The child clung to the soldier's neck, silent but wide-eyed in the faint light. The soldier could finally see the child more clearly. His skin shimmered faintly, not just ordinary flesh, but as if it carried hidden light beneath. The soldier frowned. "What is he?" he whispered. The mother's eyes lowered, her voice filled with both pride and fear. "He is my son, but he is more than that. He carries something inside him. Something they fear, something they want." The soldier felt the weight of her words sink deep. This was no ordinary rescue. This child was the reason the enemy fought so brutally. The enemy wanted him alive, not dead, which made him dangerous in ways the soldier could barely understand. The mother continued, her voice trembling as if speaking this truth gave away her very soul. "My people passed knowledge from blood to blood, memory and power hidden inside. My child carries the last of our line, and they will do anything to take it from him." The soldier's jaw tightened. He had come here as a fighter, a survivor, but now he stood at the edge of something greater than war. The child in his arms was not just life, but history, knowledge, maybe even the hope of an entire species. He looked into the child's glowing eyes, and for the first time in a long time, he felt fear not for himself, but for another, above them. Faint light pierced the cracks in the stone. The sound of enemy boots echoed above, soldiers searching. One voice shouted, angry and commanding, "They are near. Find the child." The words made the mother shiver, her eyes wet with terror. She pressed her forehead against the soldier's arm, whispering, "They will never stop. They will hunt until the stars fall, please. Do not let them take him." The soldier's grip on his weapon tightened. He whispered back, steady and sure, "They will not take him. Not while I breathe." In that moment the bond between them grew stronger. He was no longer just a stranger, not just a human soldier on a broken battlefield. He was the guardian of something sacred, the shield between life and death. As the enemy searched above, the soldier led them deeper into the hidden chamber. Each step forward took them farther into shadow, but also closer to a new truth. The child stirred softly in his arms, whispering words in a voice too quiet to understand. The soldier looked down, and for an instant he thought he saw a strange glow in the boy's eyes. Not just light, but memory, ancient and vast, like stars reflected in a small body. He felt a chill move through him. This child was no ordinary survivor. He was a key to something much larger. The mother, crawling beside him, raised her head. "Do you see now why I begged you, why I offered myself to you? I cannot fight. I cannot even hold him. But I can give you loyalty. I can give you all that I am. Because only you can protect him now." The soldier said nothing, but in his silence, he gave his answer. He adjusted the child in his arms, his jaw set, his eyes hard above. The enemy searched like wolves in the night. Below, in the hidden dark, a new story was being born. A human, an alien mother, and her child, bound together by desperation. But what none of them knew was this was only the beginning. The child's secret would soon draw death closer than ever, and the soldier would be forced to choose again, fight or run. The silence of the tunnel carried their breaths, each one heavy with fear, each one heavy with hope. The soldier gripped his weapon tighter. The mother whispered softly to her child, and the child's faint glowing eyes lit the darkness like two stars. Asterisk, a reluctant protector, the tunnel was dark and heavy. The only sound was the shallow breathing of the child and the quiet crawl of the alien mother. The human soldier walked ahead, his weapon raised, every nerve alert. He had carried many burdens before in war, but never something like this. A fragile child with glowing eyes, and a mother with no arms but a heart stronger than steel. He told himself this was temporary, just survival. But deep inside he knew he was already bound to them. They moved deeper until the tunnel opened into a broken chamber. Old machines hummed faintly, abandoned long ago. The soldier placed the child down on a flat piece of stone, his small body weak, his chest rising and falling slowly. The mother crawled close and bent her head beside him, whispering words in her language. Soft and soothing, the soldier watched them. A strange ache rising in his chest, he shook it off, reminding himself he was a fighter, not a family man. But the words of the mother still echoed in his mind. "Save him. And save me." Suddenly, the sound of metal scraping echoed from the tunnel behind them. The soldier stiffened, lifting his weapon. Shadows moved against the dim light. Enemy scouts had tracked them. Faster than he expected. He cursed it under his breath, his instincts screaming at him to run. But when he looked back at the boy and the mother, he knew he could not. If he left them, they were dead. If he stayed, he risked everything. The first enemy stepped into the chamber, armor cracked but weapons ready. The soldier fired quickly, the blast echoing like thunder. The scout fell, but more followed, their eyes glowing with cold hunger. The mother pulled herself in front of her child, shielding him with her broken body, though she had no arms. The soldier shouted, "Stay behind me," and charged forward. The fight was close and brutal, metal against flesh. The air filled with sparks and screams. The soldier fought like a beast, driven not by orders, but by something deeper. Every strike was to protect, not to conquer. When the last scout fell, the chamber was silent again. The soldier stood panting, sweat on his brow, his weapon smoking. The child stared at him with wide eyes, not of fear but of awe. The mother lifted her head, her voice hoarse. "You stayed. You fought for us." The soldier looked at her, his jaw tight. "I don't know why," he admitted. "But I did." The mother's gaze softened, her broken body trembling with exhaustion. "Because you are human. And that is enough." The soldier turned away. Pacing the chamber, he told himself he was only delaying, that soon he would leave them. But his heart knew the truth. He could not. He was already their protector, their shield, their only hope. As he checked the chamber walls for another path, the child made a soft sound. The soldier turned and saw the boy's hands glowing faintly. Strange symbols flickered in the air like sparks of light. The mother gasped, whispering quickly in fear and pride. "He should not show this, not now," the soldier asked. "What is this?" his voice sharp. The mother's eyes met his, filled with sorrow. "My son carries the last knowledge of my people. Memories of generations, secrets the enemy will kill for. He cannot control it yet, but soon he will. That is why they hunt us. Why I begged you." The soldier felt the weight of her words crash over him like fire. This was no accident, no simple rescue. This child was not just her son, but the key to something far greater. The soldier pressed his hand against his forehead, frustration burning in him. "I came here to fight a war, not to raise a child, not to be someone's husband." But the mother looked at him with quiet strength. "You came here to survive, yet you are alive because of us. And we are alive because of you. That is not war. That is fate." Her words struck him harder than any blow. He turned away, but the truth gnawed inside him. He wanted to deny it, to walk away, but he could not. The child's eyes glowed softly in the darkness, like stars calling him forward. The mother's broken body leaned against the stone, her faith resting on him, and the soldier realized with a sinking heart, he was already theirs, whether he accepted it or not. The silence broke again with distant shouts echoing through the tunnels. The enemy had not given up. They were coming in greater numbers. The soldier raised his weapon, his eyes narrowing. The fight was not over. It had only begun. He looked back at the mother and child. "This is your last chance to leave me," he said firmly. But the mother shook her head slowly, her voice steady though her body trembled. "No, human. There is no leaving now. You are ours. And we are yours." The soldier felt his chest tighten. For the first time, he was not just a soldier, not just a survivor. He was something else, a protector, a guardian, maybe even more. And though fear whispered in his heart, he stood tall. Because for the first time since the war began, he had something worth protecting. The mother bowed her head, the child's faint glow lighting their faces. And together, in the shadow of the ruined world, a new bond was born. But the darkness outside was not finished. The enemy drew closer, and the soldier knew the true test had yet to come. Escape and betrayal. The tunnel walls trembled with distant echoes. The enemy's voices grew louder. The human soldier tightened his grip on his weapon, his other arm steadying the alien child. The armless mother crawled close, her eyes full of fear but her voice whispering courage. "They are many, human. Too many. We cannot stay here." The soldier nodded, his jaw tight. He hated retreat, but he knew she was right. Staying meant death, and death meant the child would fall into enemy hands. They moved quickly through the crumbling passage. The soldier carried the child while guiding the mother forward. Her body was weak, every movement slow, but her will was unbreakable. The air grew colder, the tunnel opening wider, until they stepped into a larger cavern. There, they were not alone. Several alien survivors huddled in the shadows, their eyes filled with fear and suspicion. The mother gasped, recognizing them as remnants of her people, brothers. "Sisters, you live," she whispered, tears in her voice. The survivors rose to their feet, some limping, some wounded, their faces lit with relief at first, then hardened as they saw the human. One of them, tall and scarred, stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Why is a human with you? Why does he carry the child?" The mother lifted her head, her voice steady. "He saved us. He saved my son." But the scarred alien's eyes narrowed with distrust. "No human fights for us without reason. He will betray us, just as humans betrayed others before." The soldier stood silent, his eyes cold but steady. He had no words to offer, only the truth of his actions. The mother moved closer, her broken body trembling but her voice fierce. "He is no enemy. Without him my son would already be gone. If you cannot see that, then you are blind." The cavern grew tense, the survivors whispering among themselves. Some seemed convinced, others still filled with suspicion. The scarred one leaned closer to the soldier, his voice low and dangerous. "If you fail us, human, you will not leave alive." The soldier met his glare. Unflinching, "I did not come here for you. I came for them," he said, nodding toward the mother and child. The scarred alien's jaw tightened, but he said nothing more. For a moment, uneasy peace hung in the cavern. But peace in war never lasted. Suddenly, one of the survivors slipped away into the shadows. The soldier's instincts screamed. He followed with his eyes, watching the figure disappear into a side passage. Something about the movement felt wrong, too fast, too secret. Moments later, a faint metallic echo carried back through the stone. A signal, a warning. The soldier cursed under his breath. "They've betrayed us." The mother's eyes widened with horror. "No, not my people, not now." But even as she spoke, the sound of boots and weapons clattered through the tunnels. The enemy was coming, guided straight to them. The cavern filled with panic, survivors shouting, scattering in fear. The soldier lifted the child again, his weapon ready, his eyes sharp. He turned to the mother. "We cannot stay, move." The scarred alien blocked his path for a moment, anger and shame mixing in his eyes. "One of us has doomed us all," he growled. The soldier pushed past him. "Then fight with me or die here." "Your choice." The cavern erupted in chaos. Enemy soldiers stormed in, their weapons flashing in the dim light. The soldier fired, blasts lighting up the darkness. Each shot aimed to protect. The mother crawled beside him, shielding her son with her own body, her voice a desperate whisper of comfort. The scarred alien, torn between hate and honor, finally charged into battle beside the human. Together they fought, stones shaking with the fury of their clash. But the enemy kept coming, wave after wave. The soldier's arms burned with effort, his breath ragged, but he would not fall. Every strike, every shot was for the boy and his mother. The betrayer appeared at last, dragged forward by enemy soldiers, his eyes wide with fear, his mouth spitting excuses. "They promised me safety. I only wanted to live," he cried. The mother's eyes burned with fury, her broken voice cutting sharper than any blade. "You doomed us all for your life. May the stars never forgive you." The soldier raised his weapon, ready to strike, but the enemy dragged the traitor back into their ranks. Using him as shield, the fight raged. But time was running out. The soldier looked at the mother, his voice low but firm. "We must leave now, or we will not leave at all." She nodded, though her body trembled with exhaustion. Her eyes met his, full of trust and unspoken words. He lifted the boy tighter into his arms and guided her toward a narrow path at the far end of the cavern. The scarred alien fought to cover their escape, roaring with rage. The last thing the soldier saw before they vanished into the tunnel was the scarred warrior standing tall. Refusing to fall, they fled into the darkness, the boy's eyes glowing faintly, lighting the path ahead. The mother whispered through her tears, "Even my own people betray us. Only you remain." The soldier did not answer, but his silence was enough, because in his heart he knew the truth. He was no longer fighting just a war. He was fighting for them, and that fight was far from over. The child's secret. The tunnel stretched endlessly, damp and silent. The soldier carried the child tightly in his arms, his other hand gripping his weapon. Behind him the armless mother crawled forward, her body trembling but her eyes filled with fire. They had escaped the cavern of betrayal, but the echoes of battle still haunted their ears. The memory of her own people turning against her weighed heavy on the mother's heart. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "Even my people cannot be trusted, but you, human, you stayed." The soldier did not reply, his focus fixed on the path ahead. But inside, he felt the truth of her words. He had chosen, again and again, not to leave them, and each choice tied him closer to them. The child stirred in his arms, small hands clutching at his chest. The soldier looked down, expecting fear, but instead saw a strange calm in the boy's glowing eyes. A faint light shimmered beneath his skin, pulsing like a heartbeat. The soldier froze for a moment. "What is happening to him?" he whispered. The mother's face paled. though her voice carried both pride and sorrow. "It has begun." The boy's small lips moved, whispering words in a language the soldier did not understand. Symbols of light flickered in the air around him. Floating like dust made of stars, the soldier stepped back, his instincts screaming of danger. But the boy's glow only grew stronger, spreading warmth instead of harm. The mother's voice trembled as she explained, "He carries the memory of my people. All our knowledge, all our history, it awakens too soon. He cannot control it yet." The soldier stared in disbelief. "You mean he is carrying their minds, their voices?" The mother nodded weakly, her eyes glistening. "Yes, through his blood, through his soul. The last of us lives. That is why the enemy hunts us. They do not want him dead. They want what he carries. If they take him, they will use our knowledge as a weapon, and the stars will burn." The soldier's grip tightened around the boy. For the first time, the war around him made sense. This child was not just a life, he was a key, a weapon, a treasure, a curse. The soldier whispered through clenched teeth. "And you put all this on me?" The mother lowered her head, shame and desperation mixing in her broken voice. "I had no choice, human. I cannot fight. I cannot hold him. I cannot protect him." "But you can." The soldier wanted to argue, to refuse. He wanted to throw this impossible burden aside. But when the boy looked up at him, glowing eyes filled not with power but with innocence, he could not. He saw not a weapon, not a key, but a child. And his heart knew he could not abandon him. Suddenly, the tunnel rumbled, dust falling from above. The soldier raised his weapon, scanning the shadows. The boy's glow grew brighter, as if reacting to danger, and then, from the darkness ahead, shapes moved. Not enemy soldiers this time, but strange machines tall, insect-like constructs with glowing red eyes, built by the enemy to hunt without rest. The mother gasped, "Seekers, they can smell his blood. They will not stop until he is theirs." The soldier shifted his stance, the child clinging to him. The seekers screeched, their metal legs scraping against the stone. The soldier fired, blasts echoing in the tunnel, sparks flying as metal cracked, but the seekers were many, their glowing eyes unblinking. One leapt forward, and in that instant, the boy cried out. The glow in his eyes burst into a wave of light, symbols flashing across the walls. The seeker froze mid-strike, its body twitching. Then with a sound like breaking glass, it collapsed lifeless to the ground. The soldier and mother stared in shock. The boy trembled in the soldier's arms, tears running down his glowing cheeks. He had not meant to kill, but something inside him had awakened. The mother whispered, her voice full of awe and fear. "His power grows faster than I feared. If he cannot learn to control it, he will destroy himself, and us with him." The soldier looked down at the boy, then at the broken seeker. His heart pounded with dread. He had seen many weapons in his life, but none compared to the living power trembling in his arms. The boy looked up at him, voice soft and pleading. "Don't let them take me." The soldier felt his chest tighten. He wanted to promise, to swear that nothing would take the boy. But the truth weighed heavy. He was only one man, and the enemy was endless. Still he nodded, his voice steady. "They will not take you. Not while I live." The mother's eyes filled with tears, her voice breaking. "Then you are more than soldier. You are his father now, whether you choose it or not." The words struck him like a blade. He wanted to deny it, to push it away, but deep inside, he knew it was already true. The seekers lay broken in the tunnel, but more would come. The boy's power had awakened, and now the enemy would hunt them harder. The soldier tightened his hold, his eyes narrowing. He was not just protecting a child anymore. He was protecting the future, and he would not fail. The last stand. The tunnels shook with distant echoes. The soldier knew the enemy was closing in. The seekers had fallen, but their destruction only lit a signal in the dark. More hunters would come, soldiers, machines, all chasing the same prize. The child's faint glow lit the path ahead. His small body pressed tightly against the human's chest. Behind them, the armless mother crawled with every ounce of strength left in her, her voice whispering courage through exhaustion. Do not stop, human. The end is near. But so is hope. They emerged into the ruins of a shattered city underground. Tall stone walls broken, shattered towers leaning like ghosts of a forgotten world. Here the tunnels split into many paths, but each one felt like a dead end. The soldier scanned the ruins, his jaw tight. "This place is a trap," he muttered. The mother nodded weakly, her eyes searching the shadows. "Then we make our stand," she whispered. The soldier placed the child down gently on a piece of stone. He crouched low, checking his weapon, counting the few charges left. He knew it was not enough, not for the army that hunted them. The boy looked up at him, eyes glowing like stars. "Will we die here?" the child asked softly. The soldier froze, his heart twisting. He wanted to tell him no, but the truth sat heavy instead. He rested a hand on the boy's shoulder and said, "Not while I stand. Not while I breathe." The mother crawled closer, pressing her cheek against her son's. "You hear him, little one. He will not let the dark take us." Her broken body leaned against the stone, trembling, yet her eyes shone with the fire of a warrior's heart. The soldier looked at her, and for the first time saw not her wounds, not her missing arms, but her strength. She was the spirit of survival itself, and that gave him courage. Then the silence broke. Marching footsteps thundered through the ruins. Red lights glowing in the shadows. The enemy had found them. Rows of soldiers advancing, their weapons aimed, their voices chanting like hounds before the kill. The soldier rose, his weapon ready, his body steady. Behind him, the child's glow grew brighter, the air humming with strange energy. The mother whispered sharply, "He cannot control it yet. If it breaks free, it will kill him." The soldier's heart pounded. He had one mission now: hold the line. Keep them safe. By time, the first wave of enemies charged. Weapons blazing, the soldier met them head-on. Blasts roaring through the ruins, stone cracked, fire lit the air, and screams echoed in the hollow walls. The soldier fought like a man possessed, his blade slashing, his weapon firing, his fists striking when all else failed. Every move was desperate, every strike fueled by one thought: protect them. The mother crawled closer to her child, whispering prayers. Her voice was soft but steady. "Stay with me, little one. Do not let the fire inside consume you." The boy trembled, his glow flaring, his small voice crying, "They are too many." The soldier roared back through the chaos, "Then let them come." The ruins became a storm. Enemy after enemy fell, but more came. The soldier's arms burned, his breath ragged, his body bruised and bleeding. Still, he stood. Still, he fought. Behind him, the mother's voice rose like a hymn. "You are not alone, human. Fight, and we are with you." Then, through the smoke, a massive figure appeared. An enemy commander, armored in black steel, towering like a beast. His voice shook the ruins. "Give us the child, human, and we will end your suffering." The soldier spat blood, his eyes fierce. "You will have nothing," the commander charged, the clash shaking the ground. Steel met steel, flesh met fury, the air split with thunder. The soldier fought with every ounce left, but the commander was stronger. The human was thrown back, crashing into stone, pain tearing through his body. The child screamed. His glow bursting like fire across the ruins. Symbols of light spun through the air, burning into the walls. The commander froze, eyes wide, his armor cracking under the weight of power. The mother shouted, her voice breaking, "No, my son, stop. It will kill you." But the boy's power surged, light exploding outward, forcing the enemy to stumble and fall. The soldier dragged himself up, his voice hoarse but strong. "Stay with me, boy. Control it. You're stronger than them." The boy's glowing eyes met his, wide with fear. "I cannot stop it." The soldier staggered forward, gripping the boy's shoulders. "Yes, you can. Listen to me. You are not alone. We fight together." The mother pressed her forehead against her child's cheek, tears running down her scarred face. "Hold on, my son, hold on." For a moment, the boy's power steadied, the symbols slowing, the glow softening. The commander roared and rose again, his blade ready to strike. But the soldier did not falter. He stood in front of the boy and mother, weapon raised, eyes unyielding. "If you want them, you go through me." The battle raged on, the soldier's strength failing, the child's power trembling, the mother's voice guiding them both. It was not just a fight for survival anymore. It was a fight for family, for hope, for a bond forged in fire and blood. And though the enemy was endless, the soldier refused to fall, because this was his last stand, and he would not let the stars take them, not here, not now. Asterisk a new beginning. The ruins lay silent after the storm. Smoke curled from shattered stone. Broken weapons littered the ground. The soldier stood trembling, his body bruised and bleeding, his weapon almost broken in his hand, but he was still alive. At his feet lay the armored commander, defeated, his black steel shattered, his voice silenced forever. The last echoes of the battle faded into the hollow city, leaving only the sound of breath. Weak but alive, the child's glow softened. Fading back into his small body, he collapsed against the soldier's chest. Exhausted, eyes half closed, the human held him tightly, his heart pounding with relief. "You did it, boy, you held on," he whispered. The mother crawled close, pressing her cheek against her son's face, tears running down her scarred skin. "My child, you lived," she whispered, her voice breaking with love. The soldier sank to his knees, holding them both close. For the first time in a long time, he felt something strange, something almost forgotten. It was not victory, not survival, but belonging. He had fought many battles, seen many fall, but never had he fought for something that felt so much like home. The ruins were quiet, but danger had not vanished. The enemy had been broken here, but others would come. The soldier knew this was not the end of war. Yet as he looked at the child in his arms and the mother by his side, he understood something deeper. He was no longer fighting a war of soldiers. He was fighting a war of family. The mother lifted her head, her voice soft but steady. "You saved him, human. You saved me. I offered myself to you before, out of desperation. But now I offer myself out of choice. Not as a bargain, but as a vow." Her eyes, scarred and weary, shone with strength that no wound could steal. "Be my protector, be my partner, be his father." The soldier's breath caught in his chest. He was a man of war, not of vows. Yet when he looked at the child's glowing eyes and the mother's unyielding spirit, he knew this was not weakness. This was not a burden. This was his purpose, his reason, his new beginning. He nodded slowly, his voice low but firm. "That I am yours, and you are mine." The child stirred in his arms, whispering softly. "Father." The word struck the soldier deeper than any blade. It was not forced, not taught, but spoken with truth. He closed his eyes for a moment, holding the boy tighter. "I will protect you, always," he said. The mother leaned against him, her broken body resting in his strength. Together, the three of them sat in the ruins, survivors of a storm, bound by something stronger than blood. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, breaking through cracks in the ruined ceiling, light falling on them like a blessing. Time passed, the smoke cleared, and silence gave way to distant wind. The soldier rose at last, lifting the boy in his arms and guiding the mother forward. Every step was heavy, but his heart was lighter than it had ever been. The path ahead was unknown, filled with danger, filled with war, but he no longer walked it alone. The mother crawled at his side, her voice calm and full of faith. "We are broken, but we are not defeated. As long as you stand with us, human, we will rise again." The soldier looked at her, and for the first time he smiled. "Then let's rise together." The child's faint glow returned, not fierce this time, but gentle, lighting their path through the ruins, guiding them toward the unknown. The soldier no longer saw the glow as a curse. He saw it as a beacon, a promise of something beyond war, a future worth fighting for. Behind them lay death, betrayal, and endless battles. But ahead of them lay something greater, not victory, not conquest, but family. A new bond that no enemy could break. A bond of human and alien, of protector and survivor, of father and son. And so the soldier walked into the broken dawn, the armless mother by his side, the glowing child in his arms, no longer just survivors of war, but the beginning of something new. The story was not ending, it was only starting, for in the silence of the battlefield, hope had been born again.